Hey guys, welcome to week 11 of Samachar Manthan. We're going to discuss environment and science and tech related news here. The first topic is India to send manned mission to space by 2022. This picture is an infographic, and like all other infographics, this carries vital information. The first point is that Rakesh Sharma was the first Indian to get into space, and he did this in 1984. And till date, Rakesh Sharma remains the only Indian who has been to space. So, this point is important. Then, in 2007, the first proposal for manned mission was given by ISRO. In 2008, an MOU was signed regarding the same with Russia, but it was abandoned in 2010. So you have to be very, very careful with the language of your option in case it asks you about which was the first MOU, with whom it was signed, and whether it was continued or not. So you have to be careful with these. Then in 2014, the first experimental flight of GSLV Mark III was made. In 2016, an announcement about the pad abort test was made. This point is not really important, but just so that the flow is maintained, I am reading it. And this point you can skip, not important, but this one is important. In 2018, July, the pad abort test was successfully conducted in Sriharikota. Okay, important. And Mr. Modi, Prime Minister Modi, has decided that 2022 will be the year when India puts her man in space. So that's all in this infographic. Let's move on to the points now. So the mission's name is Gaganyaan 2022, and it is very different from all other missions that ISRO has conducted so far. How it is different, we are going to see in the next slide. Now, why it is so different from all other missions so far is first, we need a rocket which is strong enough to carry that much amount of weight into space. Then we need a crew module which is able to provide Earth-like conditions in space. And lastly, we need to have the ability to bring the spacecraft back to Earth. Okay, so this is a challenge because during re-entry there is tremendous amounts of heat that gets generated, and all other technical problems may appear. So this is a huge challenge for ISRO. And the movie which is coming to my mind right now is Gravity. All right, I have already mentioned of this movie, I believe, earlier also, but you must see this movie if you need to see the complexities of manned travel to space and re-entry and all those things. It's an absolutely wonderful movie. Okay, coming to our point now. So things ISRO will require for the manned mission: the rocket, first of all. So GSLV Mark III is the choice that ISRO has made, and the weight will be about 5 to 6 tons of the module, not of the rocket. All right, so the module will be 5 to 6 tons, and the Mark III rocket will be called Launch Vehicle Mark III from now on. The first developmental flight was successfully conducted, and GSAT 19 was launched into space. Then ISRO needs a re-entry and recovery technology. So this is very important because re-entry and recovery is a dangerous and complicated, highly complicated thing. Then the next point that is needed is a crew module. Okay, so the crew module is called CARE. The full form is Crew Module Atmospheric Re-Entry Experiment. So this is the experimental crew module basically. And we also need a crew escape system. So this is about what the pad abort test was related to. I have already discussed the pad abort test in one of my previous lectures. Then comes your life support, that is Earth-like support, Earth-like conditions in space. So the environmental control and life support system, ECLSS, is the module which will provide this, and that will be all in this slide. while most of the training will be given at a foreign facility, some will be imparted at Institute of Aerospace Medicine of the Indian Air Force at Bengaluru. So this can be asked in your prelims. Uh, the gains from this mission, so all these points are important only for mains, not really for prelims. We can come to the next topic now, which is Parker, and it is the world's first mission to the sun. Let's see this diagram quickly. Mercury is the first planet nearest the sun, then we have Venus, then we have Earth. So just a revision of the location of your planets. The Parker probe was launched in July 2018, and it will be flying past Venus in September this year, 2018 only. And remember these figures, all right? 24 orbits and 7 Venus gravity assist flybys. Okay, if you're not able to read it, just follow my voice. And these points are not important, first perihelion and minimum perihelion. These are not important. So whatever we have discussed in this picture, please keep it in your mind, and we'll be referring to it in the next slide now. So the Parker probe has been launched by NASA, and it is named after solar physicist Eugene Parker, who was the first scientist to describe solar wind in 1958. Can be asked in prelims. The probe will make 24 orbits or loops around the sun over 7 years, and these 24 loops will also comprise 7 Venus gravity assisted flybys. Okay, so that point, the thing which I said in the last slide, this comes helpful here. And coming to the main objectives of Parker solar probe, so it is going to study the structure, the magnetic and electric fields, and the energy particles from the sun. It is going to solve long-standing mysteries related to solar winds, solar outer atmosphere, that is corona, why it is much hotter than the solar surface, very important point, can be asked in prelims. And it is also going to explore mechanisms that accelerate and transport energy particles from the sun. So and this part really is not important, it's optional. If you want to, if you're interested, you can read it, otherwise it's optional. Then the mission is going to end in 2025. It is a 7-year mission, so 2018 it has been launched, plus 7 means 2025 will be the end date. And coming to the next part, that is Europe's solar probe. So European Space Agency is also building a similar probe. The name is Solar Orbiter, or SOLO, and it is expected to be launched in 2020, and it will go much farther away than the Parker. The Parker is wrong actually. It will go much farther away than Parker. Okay. Aditya L1 is India's solar mission, conceptualized by this committee in January of 2008. It is a collaborative effort between ISRO and various Indian research organizations, and it is expected to be launched by ISRO in 2019 or in 2020. The next topic is government notifies rules for unlocking rupees 66,000 crore compensatory afforestation funds. So this topic is important for mains as well as for prelims. Now it was in news because rules have been framed under the Compensatory Afforestation Fund Act of 2016. Rules means delegated legislation. So this is formed by the ministry, the secretary of the ministry to be specific, and then acknowledged or accepted by the minister. So in case you become an IAS officer, if you desire to become an IAS officer, delegated legislation is one of the most prominent tools through which you can bring about change in society. Then coming to this topic, the background is that the Compensatory Afforestation Act of 2016 could not be implemented properly in the absence of these rules or delegated legislation. And this is because of the absence of these rules, only about itna crore of total amount. So 80,000 ka about 14,000 is approximately 20%, 18 to 20% could be used. About 80%, which is 66,000 crore, could not be used. So now that the rules have been framed, this amount will be released. So this amount, that is the unspent amount, was lying with CAMPA, and CAMPA is an ad hoc body that was created by an order of the Supreme Court in 2009. Very important point, can be asked in prelims. Also, Odisha has the highest share, followed by Chhattisgarh and Jharkhand, can be asked in prelims. Coming to the key facts, so the fund is an accumulated amount, that is the compensatory afforestation fund. It is an accumulated amount which various agencies deposit for diverting forest land for non-forest purposes. For example, if I own a company and if I want to establish a factory somewhere, so and if I need to cut down some forest land, so I will have to deposit some compensation in order to divert forest land to non-forest purpose, and that compensation will be deposited in the compensatory afforestation fund. So that is the meaning. The next point is that till now the unspent amount was with CAMPA, but now it will be transferred to the National Compensatory Afforestation Fund. This is at the center, and corresponding state compensatory afforestation funds at the state level. The national and state compensatory afforestation funds, they are, both of them are non-lapsable, and they will be under public accounts of India. That is, the national fund will be under the public account of India, and the state funds will be under the public accounts of each state. So that is all that is important here. Also, this amount, the amount of that has been deposited in these funds, can be utilized only for the activities listed under the CAF Act. Very important point. 80% of the compensatory afforestation amount will be utilized for these activities. Please go through the list, can be asked in prelims. The remaining 20% will be utilized for 11 listed works related to infrastructure, forest and wildlife protection. So please go through it, and that will be all in this topic. The next topic is CSIR has patented a new clot buster. So we are going to read about it in the next slide. This is a slightly technical topic, guys. I'll try to make it as simple as possible. There will be certain terms which you will have to remember verbatim, and other than that, it's pretty simple. Let's move ahead. You know that free flow of blood everywhere in the body is important for good health. If we are talking about the brain, blocking of free flow of blood causes stroke. All right, and this block, that is, if the blood gets blocked, this block gets removed by what is known as clot buster. Now, CSIR, Institute of Microbial Technology, Chandigarh, the name is CSIR IMTech. This has developed a new clot buster by the name of PE gylated streptokinase. All right, you will have to remember this name, guys. I can't help with this. The next point, this particular clot buster is very important for treating ischemic strokes. These strokes are caused due to emboli, thrombus or atherosclerosis occurring in the cerebral arteries. Basically, these are arteries. Cerebral is, you can say that it is an English word which means related to the brain. So anything related to brain, you can call it as cerebral. So arteries related to the brain are cerebral arteries, and the ischemic stroke is caused due to these things. So you will have to remember these also verbatim. Then the PE gylated streptokinase, that is the new clot buster, it is a recombinant protein thrombolytic molecule. You will have to remember this also. And its advantage is that it reduces the probability of hemorrhage. Coming to the next point, it has been developed under public-private partnership model. Very, very important point. So CSIR Imtech has combined or joined hands with Epigen Biotech Private Limited of Mumbai. This company's name is not important, it won't be asked, but this PPP point is important. Then because this is the company which has helped in researching and developing this particular clot buster, it happens to be the first company in India with exclusive license to manufacture it. And brain stroke is the second biggest killer in the country, and in India prevalence of stroke is much higher than in the West. So about 87% of all strokes are ischemic strokes. So this particular development is hugely important for India. Coming to the back to basics part, we are talking about the CSIR. We'll read about it in the next slide. So the CSIR was established by the Government of India in 1942 as an autonomous body, and it is the largest research and development organization in India with 38 laboratories and 39 field stations across the country. It is majorly funded by the Ministry of Science and Tech, and it operates as an autonomous body under the Societies Registration Act of 1860. Very important point. And these are the list of items on which research is done by CSIR. The next topic is government bans the use of pet coke as fuel. Let's see what this picture contains. So pet coke, the full form is petroleum coke. It is a petroleum byproduct, and it is often blended with coal and used in various industries, also in electricity generation. And the problem with pet coke is that it has got high concentrations of carbon, first of all. So huge CO2 emissions are there, and also there is high concentration of sulfur and other heavy metals. So this is more dangerous than coal. Coming to, is it hazardous? It is not hazardous upon contact, but it becomes very severely polluting because of the emissions, the sulfur and heavy metals emissions other than CO2. And also, in case solid pet coke, like the one shown in this picture, in case it gets in contact with rainwater, it can cause leaching, runoff, etc. So groundwater pollution can happen. Coming to our content now. So the DGFT has banned use of imported pet coke as fuel, but it is allowed in certain industries like cement, lime kiln, calcium carbide and gasification, because in these industries sulfur is mostly absorbed. Let's move on to the next page now. So the first point is that pet coke is exceptionally polluting form of carbon. All right, it has also got severe toxicity because of the heavy metals present. It is known as bottom of the barrel fuel because it is basically a residual waste material. All right, it is cheap, but it is extremely polluting. It is abundantly used in India. Now, India is a poor country, we really can't afford expensive fuel, so it has been abundantly used till now, but because of environmental concerns, now it has been curbed. Coming to the composition, so pet coke is over 90% carbon. That means CO2 emissions are there, and CO2 emissions are 5 to 10% more than coal. Okay, so this is a point which can be asked in prelims, that pet coke is more CO2 intensive than coal, so it will be correct. Then pet coke has got a higher energy content than coal. Another point which can be asked in your prelims. Also, the difference between coal and pet coke is in terms of moisture content and the volatile hydrocarbon content. So whatever difference we see in terms of CO2 emissions or energy content, these are basically due to these factors. Let's move on to the next point. So it is mainly used as fuel and in captive power generation plants, but it is also used in making electrodes in the steel and aluminum industry. So a particular question can also be asked in prelims about the use of pet coke. You have to be very careful with the option. It is not only used as fuel. Okay, fuel is the most important use, but it is also used in making electrodes. So be careful with the option. The next point is about health hazards. So sulfur is there, fine dust can be is another thing that pet coke causes. Also toxic metals. So it releases metals like it releases chemicals like nitrous oxide, mercury, arsenic, chromium, nickel. So all these problems are there. Greenhouse gases, CO2. It is much more potent than coal in terms of greenhouse gas CO2 emissions, and if we combine with the heavy metals which are there, so definitely it is the ban is justified. Coming to the next point, environmental implications. We have already seen greenhouse gas emissions, health hazards, all those things are there, but it is otherwise an extremely stable fuel. Extremely stable in the sense that it is not inflammable, okay? Like LPG or other things, it is not inflammable, but otherwise it is dangerous. The next point is India's carbon tax regime. So carbon tax was introduced in 2010, but it was introduced only on coal. It is not levied on pet coke. So what will happen? Companies have shifted from coal to pet coke, and environment has gone for a 6. This term is important, can be asked in exam. Pigovian tax. So Pigovian tax is a tax which is imposed on any market activity which generates negative externalities. So the term externality is just a fancy word for outcome. Okay, so negative externalities means negative outcomes. So anything which has got negative outcomes like coal, pet coke, a tax on these items will be called as Pigovian tax. So externality is otherwise a nice term, a more glamorous term definitely. So it enhances the richness of your answer. Use it, that will be nice. So it should have been applicable on all sources of carbon emissions. That is the carbon tax should have been applicable on all sources, including pet coke. But because it was not done so, companies have shifted from coal to pet coke. Coming to the last point, it says that India has witnessed a decrease in coal imports last year, can be asked in exam, but pet coke's imports have increased. Okay, important. Coming to these 2 points now, India and China are leading consumers and importers of pet coke, important point, but China has been steadily decreasing its dependence on pet coke while India is increasing. So not a very good thing to be proud of, but that's the way it is. The next point is e-cigarette ban, important for both mains as well as for prelims. So let's come directly to this picture. This is the e-cigarette. These are the regular cigarettes. So e-cigarette has got a rechargeable battery. It uses what is known as vapor, and this emits smoke. There is an atomizer, a liquid nicotine cartridge. Okay, there's a liquid inside. Then the advantages are these: tar free, odorless, saves money, you can smoke it anywhere. The opposite are for your regular cigarettes. Let's come to the main points now. So e-cigarettes are also known as electronic nicotine delivery system, ENDS. This is the formal name. They were invented in 2003, and it works by heating a liquid to generate an aerosol which is known as vapor. Now this is the vapor that the user inhales instead of the smoke which gets generated when tobacco is burnt in regular cigarette. The next point is that it uses nicotine or non-nicotine solution. Okay, the liquid can be either nicotine based or non-nicotine based. Important point for prelims. And it gives similar effects of smoking. Then why it should be used? They do not produce tar or carbon monoxide. Important. They are environmentally friendly. They help break addiction to your regular cigarettes, tobacco addiction. There is no flame, so no fire hazard, no smoke. All these things we have already seen in the picture also. Coming to the next point, that is the concerns or the weaknesses of e-cigarette. So the first thing is that it contains nicotine. It also contains free radicals. Then there is lack of information about the ill effects of e-cigarettes. There is under regulation. Actually, the punctuation is not correct here. There should be a dash between under regulation. Then there is no evidence that e-cigarettes help users in quitting smoking. The next is what needs to be done, that is way forward. All right, so unregulated sale is dangerous, so regulations need to be put in place. Please give accurate health warnings. Appropriate restrictions must be imposed. So all these points are related only for mains. Okay, let's move on to the next topic, which is India's first genetic bank for wildlife conservation, and this topic is only prelim specific. So, the National Wildlife Genetic Resource Bank has been inaugurated at the Center for Cellular and Molecular Biology Laboratory of Lacone's facility. The full form of Lacone's is this, and it is India's first genetic resource bank, and it will work in collaboration with zoos in India. Coming to Lacone's, the full form again is given here. It is a dedicated laboratory of the CSIR CCMB, which is located at Hyderabad. Now, Lacone's is the only laboratory in the country which has got methods for collection and cryopreservation of semen and oocytes from wildlife, and 3 species, that is endangered blackbuck, spotted deer and Nicobar pigeons, have benefited from Lacone's. Very important, can be asked in prelims. The next point is reintroducing Indian mouse deer. So these bodies, that is Telangana Forest Department, Central Zoo Authority, Nehru Zoological Park and the CCMB, they have joined hands to do the first ever reintroduction of the Indian mouse deer. The formal name is Indian Spotted Chevrotain, and this is the scientific name. The next point is that a dedicated facility has been made in the Nehru Zoological Park where the mouse deer population is held captive. So that is all. The next topic is related to mains. It is questioning a crackdown. Now this is about the oxytocin ban. I have already discussed this in one of my previous lectures. I'll again do this in detail now. So the Ministry of Health, that is the Union Ministry of Health, has decided to restrict the manufacture of oxytocin to the public sector unit by the name of KAPL. The full form is given here, and this will be implemented from September 1st. It was done because there was a major misuse of this drug by dairy farmers who wanted to enhance milk production. So that is the whole issue. Let's move on to the next slide. So oxytocin is a hormone secreted by the pituitary gland. It plays an important role in reproduction, childbirth and lactation, and also in social interaction. These points are all important for prelims. Then it is used in both humans and animals to accelerate normal labor. Labor is during your childbirth, and what happens is that oxytocin, it acts directly on the uterus to induce rhythmic contractions. So these 2 points are related. Then it is used in farm animals to accelerate milk letdown. Okay, this is a technical term. It is in single inverted comma. So milk letdown is the thing that oxytocin achieves, and it stimulates mammary gland to induce milk production in farm animals. So these 2 points are related. Let's move on to our text now. So oxytocin is a neurotransmitter and a hormone which is produced in the hypothalamus. From here, it is transported to and secreted by the pituitary gland. So both these points are important, can be asked in prelims. Reasons for the ban, it is important for mains, so you can simply read the points, they are very easy. Uh, is it really harmful? So these two bodies, that is the Drugs Technical Advisory Board and the Drugs Consultative Committee, they say that the medical and veterinary doctors, they are in favor of oxytocin. Both these bodies, DTAB and DCC, these are statutory bodies under the Drugs and Cosmetics Act, can be asked in prelims. Then even the studies conducted by the Indian Council of Medical Research and the National Dairy Research Institute, these have said that oxytocin does not have adverse effect on people or animals. But in case of cattle, it can cause addiction. That is, if too much of oxytocin is given, then the cattle will not react to the normal milk ejection stimuli. So this is a problem. These 2 points, you can go through them yourself, or they're not really important, they're optional. Let's move on to the next slide. Just one last thing. It has been claimed that drinking milk from oxytocin treated cattle causes multiple problems in human beings like breast and uterine cancers, male impotence, excessive hair growth, balding, etc. So this is one of the main reasons why, besides the cattle problem, that is, it causes addiction in cattle and also makes them infertile. Besides that, these are also the issues which motivated the government to ban the production of oxytocin. All these points are only related for mains and they are very simple. You can go through them yourself. Please come to the next topic, which is RUCO. The full form is Repurpose Used Cooking Oil. We'll study it in the next slide. So this is an initiative of the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, and the objective is to enable collection and conversion of used cooking oil to biodiesel. 64 companies at 101 locations have been identified for this purpose. The next point is about TPC, that is total polar compounds. Now, according to this body, anything more than 25% is harmful for the human body and it is unsafe for consumption. The collaborating partners for the RUCO initiative will include the Biodiesel Association of India. And coming to the back to basics part, we're talking about TPCs here. So TPC is used to measure the quality of oil. Alright, so every time oil is reheated, TPC increases, and anything more than 25% is considered to be harmful. Higher levels of TPC causes multiple health issues. The list is given here. It won't really be asked in exam, but then if you are really interested in health in general, if you like to read other things, so you can go through this, and that will be all in this topic. The next topic is colored stickers to indicate nature of fuel. We'll read about it in the next slide. This is a very small topic, only 2 points are there. So hologram based colored stickers will be used for vehicles in the Delhi NCR region to indicate the nature of fuel used. Light blue color will mean petrol and CNG, while orange color will mean diesel. That's all. The next topic is how WHO's essential diagnostics list can spur innovation, quality assurance. So this is a topic majorly important for mains, but certain points can be asked even in prelims. We have got 1 point in this slide, that is the EDL, that is the essential diagnostics list. This has got global representation because it has been developed by many experts ranging from diverse countries. So this point is important, can be asked, and the list serves as a reference for countries to either develop or update their list of essential diagnostics. So that is the purpose. The next point is that the SDGs target universal health coverage by 2030. Then the EDL, that is the essential diagnostics list, it concentrates on in vitro tests like blood and urine, and overall there are 113 tests, out of which 58 are for common conditions and 55 are for priority diseases like TB, malaria, all these things. You don't really need to remember these figures, but you need to just remember that majority of the tests, that is 58 out of 113, so the majority of the tests are for common conditions. That's all. This can be asked in prelims. Also, the list of priority diseases can be asked, so please go through these. Then some of the tests are particularly suitable for India because they suit the primary healthcare infrastructure. Then coming to concern areas in diagnostics, now the entire thing, the entire text in this page, it is only important for mains, so I'll quickly go through it. The concern areas in diagnostics include basically three, which are access, quality, and implementation. Beyond these, we also have R&D issues. Then coming to positive externalities of diagnostics, externalities means outcomes, so all these outcomes are only important for mains. You can read yourself. And how can the EDL help? All these points are important for mains only and way forward as well. This will be the end of the video, guys. I hope you liked it. In case of any improvement, anything whatsoever, you can contact me on Telegram. You can message me personally if you wish, and your changes, your suggestions will definitely be incorporated. So till next time, take care. God bless. Bye bye. Oh, by the way, I'm Rakesh. नाम तो सुना ही होगा.